Hotboi's luck has finally run out. A judge just gave him a sentence that might keep him locked up for good. He went from small crimes to serious charges, and his criminal record is long.
I used to just take stuff like that. I used to just take stuff. I used to snatch iPhones like that.
But this time he's dragged his baby mama and young child into the trouble too. Let's break it down.
Florida rapper Hotboii found himself in a familiar situation in the back of a police cruiser after officers say that he brought a gun and scaled a fence to get into a school parking lot.
So picture this, it's 3:40 a.m. on July 9th, 2025. Hotboii gets arrested in Doral, Florida for having a gun and trespassing on school property. At first, it might seem like just another rapper making bad choices, but when you look closer, the story gets a lot crazier. According to his lawyers, it all started when his baby mama allegedly shared his location on social media while he was with his son. In the streets, that's a big no, especially if you've got enemies watching you, but that's what Asia Monroe is accused of doing. What happened next sounds like something out of a crime movie. His legal team says 2 hooded men tried to break to Hotboi's house while he was there with his kid. Like any father, he wanted to protect his child. So he grabbed his gun, took his son, and got out of there fast. But here's the twist: while trying to keep his family safe, he ended up getting caught by police with that same gun on school property. For a convicted felon, that's just about the worst place to get caught with a weapon. To make it worse, police surveillance video shows him climbing a fence and throwing a black Carhartt bag over another fence. Inside the bag, a Glock 45 9mm handgun.
According to police, Hotboii scaled a fence on the south end of the school and was later spotted on surveillance footage tossing a black Carhartt bag over a fence connected to a fancy community adjacent to the campus.
When you're on probation like Hotboii was, getting caught with a gun is already a big deal, but getting caught with one on school property, that takes things to a whole new level. That kind of charge can land you behind bars for a long time. Hotboii was released the next day after posting a $2,500 bond. That might seem like he got lucky, but people who know the system understand sometimes a low bond just means they're setting you up to fail later. The real punishment usually comes in court, where judges don't play around, especially with repeat offenders who bring weapons near schools. But here's what really stands out if his lawyer's version of events is true then. Hotboii was basically set up by someone who should have protected him the most, the mother of his child. She's supposed to be his ride or die, but instead, she allegedly put him and their son in danger by sharing their location online. In the streets, there's a saying, keep your circle small and your mouth smaller. But when the people closest to you start acting like enemies, that's when things really go left. The streets have been buzzing about this, and opinions are split. Some say Hotboii was just trying to protect his family and got caught in a bad situation. Others argue he should have known better than to carry a gun while on probation, especially with his legal history. But one thing everyone agrees on: having your baby mama leak your location is next level betrayal. That breaks every street code. What makes it even worse is that this is Hotboi's 5th arrest in just 7 years. That kind of pattern is something the courts always notice. When you keep getting into trouble, judges stop giving you the benefit of the doubt. And when you're already on probation, new charges don't just bring new time, they can also trigger time from your previous case. Adding kids into the mix makes things even more serious. His lawyer said Hotboii was only trying to protect his son, and any parent can relate to that. But the law doesn't care about good intentions, especially when a convicted felon is caught with a gun at a school. The judge will look at the charges, not the full story, and the timing couldn't have been worse for his career. Hotboii had just gotten out in September 2024 after serving over 2 years on RICO charges. He was trying to turn things around, dropping new music and rebuilding his life. But this July 2025 arrest may have ruined all that progress. So how did he end up wrapped in a RICO case in the first place? That's where federal charges and street politics come in. Now that you understand where Hotboi's story might be heading, let's rewind and talk about the case that changed everything, the RICO charges that had him locked up for over 2 years and revealed that he wasn't just a rapper, but allegedly a leader. This is where things really show how deep Hotboii was in the streets and how his music career got tangled up in some serious criminal accusations. It all started back in July 2021 when Hotboii was arrested as part of Operation X-Force, a huge 9-month investigation that took down 34 people, including another Orlando rapper 9 But this wasn't just a regular drug bust or gang sweep. It was a full-blown RICO case, and when the feds bring RICO charges, it means they've been watching and building evidence for a long time. RICO stands for the Racketeer Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act. It's the same law the government once used to take down the mafia. RICO charges don't just accuse someone of committing one crime. They accuse them of being part of an organized criminal group, which comes with way harsher penalties. We're talking about sentences of up to 30 years, enough to completely end someone's future. According to law enforcement, Hotboii was allegedly the leader of the 438 gang based in the Silver Star Road area of Orlando. They say his crew was in a violent feud with a rival group called the Army Gang, allegedly led by 9 Lock 9. This wasn't just a rap beef. Investigators connected the feud to over 30 shootings and several murders, including innocent people who had nothing to do with street life. That's the tragic part. 2 young people who had promising futures were caught in the crossfire. 16-year-old Tavia King, the niece of Orlando City Commissioner Regina Hill, and Dexter Wrench Jr., a high school football star with a scholarship to the University of Louisville. They were killed because of a war they had no part in. From a legal point of view, the case against Hotboii is built on 2 major pieces of evidence: his Instagram posts and a gun found in his car. Prosecutors claim that his social media activity, especially posts showing guns and lyrics linked to the 438 gang, amounted to promoting gang violence online. They also charged him with gun possession after finding a weapon in his car while he was attending a funeral. This is where the case gets complicated. It touches on a big issue in hip-hop. How do you separate art from real life when a rapper talks about guns and gangs in their music or posts online? Is that criminal behavior or just a reflection of where they come from? Hotboii's lawyer Lyle Main argued that 438 wasn't a gang at all. It was just a hashtag representing Hotboii's neighborhood in the Pine Hills area of Orlando. Hotboii's lawyer compared what he was doing to legendary rappers like Biggie Smalls and Kodak Black. He argued that Hotboii wasn't promoting gang activity, he was promoting his music and his brand. Just like Biggie or Kodak used their backgrounds to fuel their careers, Hotboii was doing the same, not pushing violence. The defense also said the gun found in his car wasn't even his, it belonged to his security team. In the rap world, that's common. When you've got beef with other crews, protection is a must. But even having security with weapons can create legal problems if things go wrong. What made this case even more serious was Hotboii's alleged connection to his rival 9 Lock 9 and the Army Gang. The investigation uncovered years of back-and-forth violence between the 2 groups. One major turning point came on April 14, 2020. Demetrius Cox, tied to the Army Gang, shot and killed Volf Luther King Luma, a 438 affiliate, at a house party. That killing sparked a wave of revenge shootings. The violence spread to public places. One of the most alarming incidents was a shootout at the mall at Millennia in Orlando, where 438 members allegedly targeted 9 Lock 9. No one was killed, but it proved that this beef was getting out of control and putting innocent people at risk. That's when law enforcement stepped in. The FBI and local police launched Operation X-Force to stop the bloodshed. After 9 months of investigation, 34 people were arrested. Authorities said this wasn't just a few rappers causing trouble, it was an organized criminal operation with serious crimes happening across the city. Hotboii was held on a $750,000 bond, a sign that the court viewed him as a serious threat. When bond amounts are that high, it usually means the judge sees you as a danger to the public or someone likely to run. And keep in mind, Hotboii was only 21 years old at the time. But here's where things took a surprising turn. After spending over 2 years in jail, Hotboii's RICO charges were dropped through a plea deal. He pleaded guilty to just 1 count of conspiracy and was sentenced to time served plus 5 years of probation. That was a huge win for his legal team. RICO cases usually come with decades behind bars, so avoiding a long sentence was rare. The defense's strategy, arguing that 438 wasn't a gang, just a neighborhood hashtag, played a major role in getting the charges reduced. It showed just how powerful good legal representation can be when you're facing serious federal time. After getting out in September 2024, Hotboii wasted no time. He dropped a track called 9/11's First Day Out. That racked up 1.2 million views fast. That kind of reaction showed his fans never left his side. In hip-hop, this isn't unusual. Sometimes legal trouble actually boosts an artist's street credibility and fan base, but the RICO case wasn't Hotboii's only run-in with the law. Court records show he had multiple arrests between 2018 and 2025. Charges included gun possession, marijuana possession, and resisting arrest. With that kind of track record, the courts were always going to take any new charge more seriously. Then, just a few months after his release in February 2025, Hotboii got arrested again in Orlando. The exact charges weren't clear, but some reports suggested it had to do with violating probation. This arrest proved that even after beating the RICO case, staying out of legal trouble was still a challenge. What's really unfortunate is how all of these legal issues overshadowed a promising music career. Hotboii had signed with major labels like Geffen and Interscope Records and worked with huge names like Future Lil Baby and Polo G. His hit Don't Need Time even went platinum, showing he had real talent and industry appeal. But the streets have a way of pulling people back in. And for Hotboii, it seemed like every time he tried to focus on music, something legal would knock him off track. The RICO case already cost him more than 2 years of his prime, and now this July 2025 arrest could undo all the progress he made since getting out. But to really understand how he got to this point, you have to look at his background. His upbringing and early life played a big role in shaping the man he became, someone constantly caught between chasing his dreams and surviving the streets. Because the truth is, Hotboii's story isn't rare. It's the story of many young men growing up in tough neighborhoods, stuck between making music and staying out of trouble. From Pine Hills to prison, this is bigger than just one artist. To really understand how Hotboii ended up facing a possible life sentence, we have to go back to where it all started, Pine Hills, Orlando. That's where a young boy named Javari Later Walker learned early on that sometimes you have to take what you need just to survive. This part of his story explains everything that came after. Because life in the streets doesn't just happen overnight, it shapes you from the moment you're born. It teaches hard lessons early, and those lessons stay with you forever. Javari Later Walker was born on June 13, 2000 in Orlando, Florida. He grew up in the Pine Hills neighborhood, one of 17 siblings. Now imagine what life is like being one of 17 kids in a single-parent home in one of the roughest parts of the city. Resources were stretched so thin that even basic needs felt like blessings. Every meal mattered. And with so many kids, his mother couldn't be everywhere at once, which meant independence came early. His father wasn't around consistently, so it was up to his mom to raise all those kids on her own. Think about the pressure bills piling up, the lights getting cut off, rent due, and 17 children depending on you for everything. That kind of weight would break most people. And Pine Hills isn't the Orlando that tourists see. It's the other side of the city where poverty and crime push kids to grow up fast and make survival choices way too young. In that environment, the streets start to feel like your only option long before you even understand what you're stepping into. Hotboii started rapping when he was just 7 years old. Even then, music was his escape, his way to make sense of everything going on around him. It gave him a voice, it gave him hope. But at the same time, the streets were teaching him a different set of lessons. He says the first time he ever stole something, he was just 4 years old. And he remembers it clearly.
We was in the store, right? It's me, my mom, and my daddy. So we in the store. So you know how when you come to the line, you get to pick the candy when you go to the register and stuff. Get to pick your candy. So my mom was like, hurry up, you better hurry up, we're gonna leave you. Better hurry up. I still don't know what I want. I'm looking. They leaving, I grab the candy and I gotta catch up. I end up stealing it.
That story might seem harmless, just a 4-year-old stealing candy, but it actually says a lot about the world Hotboii was growing up in. When a child learns that no one's going to look out for them and they have to take what they need to survive, that mindset sticks. And it shapes every choice that comes after. In 2016, with help from his mom, Hotboii started uploading music to SoundCloud and YouTube. Back then, streaming was just taking off and artists were beginning to blow up straight from their bedrooms. If they had the talent and drive, and Hotboii had both. But just as he was starting to find his voice and grow as an artist, street life came crashing in. As he got older, his run-ins with the law became more serious. What started as small time theft soon turned into bigger crimes. By his teenage years, he had moved on to snatching iPhones and then breaking into homes.
I used to just steal, take stuff like that. I used to just take stuff. I used to snatch iPhones like that.
At just 15, Hotboii caught his first burglary charge, which led to him spending 2 years in a juvenile detention program from 2016 to 2018. But here's what's surprising. Instead of breaking him, that time actually pushed him to focus on his music career. While locked up, he wrote many of the songs that would later appear on his debut mixtape Cut the Fan On. One track in particular, Graham House Blues, gives listeners a raw emotional glimpse into what it was like being locked up as a teen. In the song, he talks about the isolation and the determination to rise above his situation. You can feel in the lyrics that he wasn't just passing time, he was planning a way out. When Hotboii was released in 2018, he faced the same crossroads many young people do after leaving the system: go back to the streets or find a better path. For a while, it looked like music was that better way. He came out with a new drive, and in 2019 he dropped EG's a gritty, detailed track about life in the streets and how he survived it. The song started gaining local attention and showed that his time in detention hadn't slowed him down, it had sharpened his skills. Then came his big breakthrough, Don't. Need Time, released in April 2020. The track was a tribute to his close friend Volf, who had recently passed away. The song struck a chord with listeners for its honesty and emotional depth, revealing a more vulnerable side of Hotboii. It quickly took off, racking up over 9 million streams on Spotify and 24 million views on YouTube in just 5 months. It later went platinum. A remix featuring Lil Baby gave it a bigger boost, and just like that, Hotboii was being recognized as one of the rising stars in hip-hop. But even with his music blowing up, he couldn't fully leave the streets behind. His lyrics still reflected his environment, and his social media continued to mention 438 lifestyle references that would later play a role in his legal troubles. On May 22, 2020, he officially dropped his first mixtape, Cut the Fan, on which featured collabs with artists like Plies LPB, Pootie, and Rico Cartel. The project was praised by outlets like Pitchfork and Audiomack for its authentic storytelling and melodic take on street rap. That buzz led to major label deals with Interscope Records, Geffen Records, and Rebel Music, giving him access to serious industry resources. From there, his career kept rising, teamed up with Future on Nobody Special and Polo G on Go Talk 2, proving that the industry was watching. He released his debut studio album, Double O Baby, in December 2020, followed by Life of a Hotboii in 2021 and Blinded By. His final album, Blinded by Death, dropped in 2022 and made it onto the Billboard 200 chart, landing at number 89, a major accomplishment for someone coming from his background. But success in music doesn't automatically erase your past. For artists who come from the streets, there's always a struggle between where you came from and where you're trying to go, between loyalty to your roots and the need to leave some of it behind to survive. Hotboii's ties to the 438 gang and his continued run-ins with the law made it clear just how hard it is to fully break away from the environment that raised you. Even with a growing fan base charting music and big-name collaborations, the streets still followed him, especially when he continued to represent that lifestyle in his lyrics and social media. That's the real tragedy of Hotboii's story. He had the talent, the work ethic, and the industry support to go far. His streaming numbers, his spot on the Billboard charts, and his work with artists like Future, Polo G, and Lil Baby proved he was built for this. But the shadow of his criminal record and the pattern of arrests from 2018 to 2025 kept catching up with him. Each new arrest, from gun and drug charges to the Rico case, made the next one worse. The court saw a pattern that looked harder and harder to ignore, and in the legal system, patterns matter. Build cases, they build sentences. Still, you could always feel the influence of his upbringing in his music. Tracks like Graham House Blues and Don't Need Time weren't just songs, they were stories pulled straight from his life. He turned pain into poetry, loss into lyrics. That was his greatest gift as an artist, his ability to be raw and real. In interviews, Hotboii often said he felt a responsibility to represent his neighborhood, to speak for the people who didn't have a voice. And in hip-hop, that sense of loyalty runs deep. But sometimes staying loyal to the past can hold you back from a better future. And maybe the most heartbreaking twist in Hotboii's story is that his July 2025 arrest, the one that might cost him everything, happened because he was trying to protect his son. After all the mistakes, the jail time, the chances at a new life, when it mattered most, he was just a father doing what he thought was right. And yet, even that decision may be the one that sends him away for good. If you enjoyed this video, go ahead and click one of the boxes on your screen to check out more content just like this.